This
tagged on Facebook.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Welcome to the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace. I'm Michael Morris. Madison Gillespie of Lincoln Wallace is here today.
Back again.
How are you, buddy?
I'm great. How
You sound a little nasal.
I got sick, woke up sick this morning. Not feeling too great.
Can you get the microphone by your jabber?
Yeah, I'm trying not to.
Bit? There we go.
Breathe on it
Don't
too
worry
bad.
about who gets sick after this. It's fine.
Yeah.
And today we have a special guest. I would say a friend, client.
Right.
Patrick DeMary is here. Pat, how are you?
Great. How are y'all?
I thought we'd bring Pat in because every time that I talk to Pat, he discusses the ebbs and flows of business. So we kind of want to pick his brain because this is a business that's been around over 50 years. Correct, Pat?
That's correct.
So this guy's seen it all. And Madison and I, when we're talking about small businesses and entrepreneurs, there's no better testament to that than C.W. DeMary and yourself.
Yeah.
But one of the things we get into is when things are going bad and then when things are going good. And you are that kind of middle of the road guy. You never get real high. You never get real low.
I try to, yeah.
Yeah.
Try to, yeah.
But can you kind of break down a little bit about the history of DeMary Truck, first of all?
Well, my grandfather got into the freight business with some fellas. It was commercial motor freight, and it was headquartered there in Grandview, where Ryder Stucco is now. Maybe I shouldn't have plugged that.
No, it's okay. You can plug anybody you want on the show.
Okay. They're
We
good.
do.
They're a customer, so
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah, so they got a shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Free shout out.
so. But that was a freight company, and my grandfather got into that. I mean, about when they started paving roads, and when infrastructure actually started happening. So it's gone back quite a ways, and from there, he did his own thing, and that's when my dad kind of got involved as not even a young man, as a child, working in the business where they hauled beer, Stroh's beer from Wisconsin, Detroit to Columbus. That was like a triangle.
Well, let me ask you something because I find that story to be interesting. Who did the logistics of that? Because how did they find a guy in Columbus that was going to do that route?
I have no idea. I wasn't born then.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
I think
you weren't?
I have asked him off the
And,
air about that because I always think Stroh's beer. I was thinking about from the old '60s and '70s. You know, if you were in the
Before that.
right, but I'm saying like in the what do they call it, the Rust Belt. Whenever you saw a movie or a TV show, they always had Stroh's, and I thought, how did it get here? Because my dad would tell me stories about the military where you couldn't get Coors.
That's right.
So these guys, they would be in basic training or whatever, and somebody would be stationed in Denver, and they would bring it back, and it was such a big deal. And I'm like, was it that much better? He's
Coors
like,
was always the thing.
right,
It's because you couldn't get it.
right.
Right.
You
But
know,
somebody
everybody
had-
wants something they
Right.
can't get.
But somebody had to
That's
transport that beer, right? I mean, I think the
It was-
basis of
Dude, it was
America's
Smoking
beer.
the Bandit. Didn't you see the movie?
I did, but I thought that was
you're
more.
supposed to be a movie buff, and you haven't even.
First of all, we didn't even get to the movies yet. We're gonna get to that eventually. But when I hear the beer thing, I'm thinking that's a major industry in CW. Your dad was involved in it, and I just think that's a big deal because again, that's major retail they're trusting somebody to do it, and he was kind of the tip of the spear on that for Columbus.
Well, I sure. I guess that's what
We
my
can't
dad-
have him on to ask him because he goes all over the place.
He does, yes. But that's okay. He's an old guy.
Yeah.
I'm
But
going to do
he-
the same thing when I'm old.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Get used
but,
to awesome.
Yeah, you start
Yeah.
asking him a question that you start off going to Cleveland, you end up in Toronto with that guy.
Hey.
Yeah. You gotta hem him in.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you said so. It started out doing the beer deliveries.
Yeah, and then from my understanding, it turned into, hey, let's rent these trucks, and that's a service that people needed, and that's where when my grandfather passed away, it was a family business, obviously, and so a small business can only support so many families, usually one, maybe two,
Right.
and then it has to branch off. It has to. You got to do your own thing. It just can't support it. So where I'm going with that is that at that point, they did my aunt and my dad did split up, and they did it amicably, and he got to keep the name, and he went into motor freight, and he started doing his own thing, selling trucks, but mostly repairing trucks. And he got hooked up with a company that was the food distributor for Wendy's, Sugar Foods, and started working on their equipment and their trucks, and more appropriately, the trailers. They call them reefer trailers or refrigerated trailers that, so be it, hauled the frozen French fries. So that was the big thing, and that kind of got his small business boosted, and that's kind of where we started. That's kind of how that progressed.
It's a cool story from when you start out. It's not where you are now is not where you intended.
Correct. And it never is that. And looking back, I've been doing it over 30 years, and you look back and there's so many customers, and some of them, your fault, maybe you messed up. A lot of it has nothing to do with that at all. It's just about things changing, businesses changing, people changing, moving on. And you got to keep, just like this, you got to keep soliciting to get new business in. Because you're going to lose business, whether it be your fault or not. Usually it's not, but the fact is the fact. You have to bring new business in. You have to do it, or through attrition, you'll go away.
What have you seen because again, you've been doing this 30 years, so you've gone through the gas shortage, you've gone through the boom of the 80s, you've gone through the 90s where it wasn't so much technology was taking over to where now, I mean, we talk off the air about the new trucks, the green craft trucks and those things. Technology is really taking over, but you have to adapt, right? You have to adapt how you sell and how you lease to people.
Every 90 days, you have to see what's going on in this business, because it's always changing. So now, and the big climate for change is the regime change of the presidency.
I've heard about that.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
I had plans to sell alternative fuels vehicles, and that was great guns ahead. It's not the case anymore. We're all going back to gasoline, but I have that opportunity to do that. So you make lemonade with the lemons that you get.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you make lemonade with the rocks that are left.
Doesn't
So,
taste the same though.
yeah. But it also, in turn, not that I'm not bashing one side or another. The craziness of the whole diesel emissions, how intense it was, and how crazy it was, and how it just can't be met.
Right.
These are legislators that put down, this is the emissions controls. We're not scientists, but this is what you must meet.
Yeah, right.
So do it. Well, they can't.
Right. I took chemistry in high school.
They did not.
Everybody had to take
It's
that.
ridiculous.
Somebody had to take at least one class.
Well,
I took it, and I have no idea about science.
But maybe you didn't pass it.
I said I took it.
Knowing Mike,
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Exactly. So it's like, well, we can't, all of a sudden the trucks cost a whole bunch more, and they're a whole lot less reliable. Boy, that is a recipe for disaster.
Right.
And that's where we were. That's kind of still where we're at. Now, 70% of people that were in diesel don't want diesel anymore because it's too much of a headache. They want gasoline. Okay, and we're plugging holes and pumping out gasoline, so it's cheap, so it works.
Right.
And right now they can, the emissions of them is good. Now the fuel economy is not nearly what diesel is, but diesel's dirty.
Right.
You cannot change it.
Yeah.
You just not effectively, and not with the trucks to run on time every day and make it economically feasible for business. It just doesn't work. So you see people like big pocket people, deep pocket people. They're running on compressed natural gas, and they're pretending to go electric. That's coming down the road. It's a few years down the road, and it will arrive, but it's ahead.
Yeah, I like the fact, listening to your story, that you almost promote change, and I think that's so important. I mean, because you have to, and I have a quote that I lean on a lot, and the progress is not really possible without change. You have to. You're always changing, and if you get this mindset that you can't change, I mean, your business is a testament to it for being around for as long as it has. And you've dealt with the change that has benefited you and hasn't benefited you. You know, in some situations.
You have to adapt.
Yeah.
Well, we have our once a year for sure call. Normally around the fall. Hey, I got something new, and I want to get it out there.
Yes.
And it's
That's cool.
something that, like, I forget, where did you go to Hong Kong with
I went to Tokyo.
Tokyo?
It was the electric truck.
The electric truck. So I knew he was going, but I'm seeing all these pictures, and I thought, that's an amazing trip to go on for these trucks, and this is the future. And then the election happens, and it's like, that is still in the future, but at least you got cool pictures.
True.
And
It is.
Hong Kong. So.
It is the future, but it's about 5 years ahead. I mean, really.
Do you think, and I don't know a lot about what Elon Musk has done with his transportation side of his vehicles, but I know that was a big deal with some people when he released, those semis.
But he has not released the semis.
He just showed like the model. Of
Correct. Now what Elon, that guy, amazing guy.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, it's like the Tony Stark.
Yeah, he kind of
of real life.
See?
super
Movies.
cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
But on his tractor end, it's to say it's on pause is an understatement,
Okay.
and it's understandable. I get it.
Right.
He's got to handle his little economy models. That's going to make him the Henry Ford of his day, and that's what he must focus on, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he's doing.
Yep.
And he'll do that, and his SpaceX stuff, and his tunneling. I mean, this guy's
It's
got
unbelievable.
stuff going on.
It's unreal.
The tractors, he may come out with that eventually, but he needs to finish some projects before he goes there.
Yeah, he's got about 5 projects going right now.
Yeah,
And
big
they're
ones.
Big ones. Yeah.
But that brings up a very good point, because when I read in the trades about Tesla as a company, that they're having problems just making it. So no matter what great things he's doing, the company of Tesla by themselves is faltering, and they're saying they might not make it another 4 months or 6 months because of capital, not his own money. But when Wall Street is saying that, those trailers, like you said, it could be in the distance, but it may not be him, because if he doesn't have an automotive interest at that point, that truck can just be a great idea.
That's what it is right now.
Right. Yep.
And I'm sure it's a great prototype.
And I think,
Sure.
again, it's a great, all the aspects, all the boxes you want to check off, that all makes sense. But for a guy like you that's boots on the ground, you must hear that and go, well, yeah, that's great, but 1, how much does it cost? 2, how do I get enough of these in stock? And 3, what's my timeline of when I have to get these to a customer? Because, like you said, the diesel thing was changing over, and then now we're back to gas. If it's just gas, you've got that today.
Yeah.
But you have to always kind of play that role of, I've got to advise you what's coming, right?
Right.
Yeah, and you better, it's easy just to see what's right here. But you got to try and, scope ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Try to, but then again, you don't want to be too far ahead. You don't want to expend a lot of resources there, because it might be the wrong turn and things can happen.
True. Yep.
But it's life. It is what it is. But yeah, you got to be looking ahead.
I wanted to address something, because I've only told Madison about you, so I didn't really get into like all the things that you do. But I wanted you to talk about one of the things that it's when things are out of your control. I cannot remember when the emissions thing first happened. What was the company? Was it BMW? Volkswagen.
Oh yeah.
And I was just sitting in your office. I think it was the day that kind of happened, and I had no idea. I hadn't read anything, and you're telling me about it. Then I'm reading in the news that these emission standards are being falsified and they weren't being met, which you think, oh, that's okay, that's just the cars. It was the parts. It was the parts you needed for trucks were also being used in those Volkswagens, so it slowed down production of trucks because of that big penalty that they were going to have to pay.
Indirectly, I mean, it was, I'm not going to say parts, but it's the inability to meet these rigid standards, realistically.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did is they created software to cheat, so that only at certain times, when they had the sniffers sniffing.
First of all, Pat just gave the air quotes Just so you know, because on Facebook you can see it, but he said when they achieved it. So go ahead.
Yeah, it's a software that, and the University of West Virginia figured it out because they're like, well, this is strange. Why does this do this? And that's when
that's really how they found out? That's crazy.
did. West Virginia.
I wonder
University
why.
of West Virginia.
I wonder why in West Virginia, where coal and natural resources, and they're saying these emission things. I mean, somebody had to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
But I'm
true.
following the money. The conspiracy theory is starting to unwind.
I don't think it's cool, but it's just they were the ones that stumbled across it and then brought it to light, and then lo and behold, it seems like a bunch of German companies were kind of colluding in this situation.
Which has never happened. Germany has never done anything untoward.
Nope. There's actually a really good documentary on Netflix about the entire Volkswagen scandal. And I mean, people are going to prison over this.
Well, rightly they should.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I know.
I mean,
you duped millions of people, and not to mention so my buddy had a Passat, and it was like a 2013 or 14. It fell right in the range of whenever they did that. I mean, they paid him almost full value of a car that was 5 years old because they had to.
Sure.
Yeah,
and he should have gotten
that.
That's. I mean, those are promises that were not legitimized.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother level of tricking people. I mean,
but in Pat's case, the thing that amazes me is it's not like he has multiple locations. He's not in multiple states. You've got one shop that you got to take care of your people.
mm-hmm.
And when you get this bad news, it's not like, hey, this is bad news for you. It's bad news for your industry.
Sure.
So you've got to toe the line. I've always found the times I've heard you talk to a customer, you are extremely honest with them. Like you tell them all the details.
You have to, because if you're not, then they don't trust you.
Right.
And when they don't trust you, then they don't do business with you.
Right.
Yep.
It's just that's just it.
And people respect that.
I would have to imagine. I mean, it's just like, a relationship with a loved one. That trust is broken.
Yeah.
It's never the same.
No.
Well, we always say it's kind of like dating. When you have a client, you're courting them in the beginning,
Absolutely.
and you've got to now you're married, and
Yep.
you have to make that decision. If you're cutting it off, it's going to end badly on both sides.
Oh yeah.
But that emissions thing was one, but I can't remember. The other one was the monsoon, and that was the backup parts on the Mitsubishi products. Remember there was a
Monsoon or
a tsunami.
Tsunami, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not great with weather
What?
or chemistry, but
That was a light breeze that came.
yeah, it's the rainy season.
It was a gale.
Yeah.
It was a gale.
First time
a
that's been
strong
used.
gale. That is first time.
We should
We're gonna
wedge
keep that
in.
going. Yep.
But when the tsunami came, again I happened to be in your and I think I was just stopping by like, hey, how you
Oh,
doing?
yeah.
And
You're in
telling
his
me,
office and the world's falling apart.
I think every time he sees me through that window, he goes, "Oh no, something bad's gonna happen." to my
Calamity
industry."
Mike is here.
Yeah.
Calamity
Yeah.
Mike. I like that too.
Oh, do you like that,
I do.
Gail? That's your name.
Oh, now I'm Gail.
Yeah. No, but I mean, again, you've got to roll with punches that have nothing to do with your own service, with your own sales, with your own rental. And that's the part that I admire. Like, I don't admire that you have to deal with the problem. It's how you deal with the problem.
You shoot them straight. You tell them what's going on, and you try to give them a solution. If you got one, if you don't, then you tell them you don't, and you're working on it. And ultimately, my customer is my boss.
Yes.
So I've got to figure something out.
Yep. I just said that to somebody yesterday. Like, because working for yourself, especially your clients, your customers, they are your boss. I mean, and it's how you treat them if you want to keep them as your boss.
Yes.
That's so
Everybody has to answer to somebody.
That's right. You got to be accountable, because if you're not, that's when things start to.
That is the funny thing when you're in small business or you're an entrepreneur. You think, I own my own thing. I have no one.
Yeah, you do.
Oh yeah.
There's actually more people now.
I think
Well,
you're right.
yeah. The more customers or clients that you get, you have more than one boss, and they
For
all have
sure.
a different need.
And
And
some
it's
days they
addressing
don't
it.
like you as much, and you still got to take it.
I think you're saying something right now that you're like telling me this is not therapy.
No,
Show
no,
back.
no. But it's just, I mean, like we're talking about a relationship, right? It's like a marriage. There are times when even with your boss or customer, things don't go super smooth. And like he was saying, you have to come to a resolution, and that's a part of the ebbs and flows of what you're into, you know.
Pat, you said that there are times you have to offer, you have to have an idea or something that kind of will cause that pain to be a little less. Do you have an example of one of those where it's something out of your control? Like, how do you handle that? Do you kind of step back and say, let me address what their needs were, and then here's my solution to that, to kind of bridge it or to make it go away? Because you've told me before, like in the Mitsubishi case, you might not get a truck for 12 months or 14 months that you can sell, but you could rent what you had.
Correct.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think I just stole his thunder on that.
Yeah.
Let's pretend I didn't say that.
Well,
Rewind.
It's case by case, Michael. It's and so just like anything else, it's like if you're dealing with anyone that you care about, and I care about my customers because again they are why I'm here, and that's why I get paid. So you put yourself in that situation and you try and create a solution. So, but it's case by case.
Right.
Sometimes you don't have that solution. You try and make yourself, or me, I try and make myself, what's the word?
Like put yourself in their shoes?
Well, no, I try to make sure I'm involved in there somewhere. There's a word I can't think of.
You just want to be like...
relevant.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I need to be relevant. Sometimes, regrettably, in these situations, you're not relevant. But do you have the integrity to tell your customer that?
Right.
I have to, because eventually they're going to figure out that I'm BSing them.
Right.
And then where am I at?
Well, you're not exactly a wallflower either. So it's, I mean, you always...
I tell you, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think there are people out there that want to kind of dissipate what that bad news is going to be or kind of sugarcoat it. I've never heard you do that.
You can't.
But it's not in a negative. I'm not saying this like you're yelling at them. It's, I would want to get a phone call from you to tell me exactly what's going on. But I think a lot of people, when they own their own shop or business, they are so afraid of losing that customer. I'm going to just take baby steps with it. So I'm really not telling you the whole story. I'm just telling you enough to keep you around. You know what I mean?
You're not doing them a service.
Right.
And time is money. Business owners especially. And yeah, even if I'm not relevant to the solution, boy, if I was you, Mr. Customer, knowing what I know, this is what I would do right now, given the what's available to me. And I've had to tell some people that, some great customers, and looking back on it, I've lost business, but I didn't have any other choice to do so. But I still have them. I still have them as customers, and they respect me, and they trust me.
Right.
Now that I'm on my own and not working for a corporation, before in the past, I kind of always had, I don't want to say a way out, but I could be like, well, I got to talk to my manager about that.
You got to pull the company line.
That's right. And now, like, there's no company line. It's like, I can't go, well, I got to talk to this now. Yeah. You can't. And, at your level, you're the kind of the final straw, so you have to be prepared that you don't have that company line as well.
Well, this boy's name is on all the spots, too.
Right,
so when he's telling you to come, and it's all over the website, so it's not like you can go, I need to talk to the boss, I'll go get him. He can't run from it.
Duck.
Yeah. CW's back there in the cooler. I'll go get him.
Yeah.
Before we go to break, I just want to ask you again. So, your best advice would be just hit things head on, right?
Absolutely. And deal with it. And figure out a solution. Just like sweeping it under the rug, it doesn't get it.
Do you feel better though when you've got the problem? This is the way I feel about it. I want to get right at whatever the problem is right now because I need to clean my soul of it.
Absolutely.
Like I am hanging on to it. Like even if it's, for instance, I have a situation where somebody we just picked up hasn't really cleaned up their billing from something else they've done. Well, I didn't know that. Well, now that I know that, there are two solutions, right?
Right.
But I want to do it now. Whereas Madison's seen me before, where I'm sitting in there before we're doing a show, haven't given him any notes, nothing what we're going to do, and I'm like, I'm going to solve this problem, right, blah, blah, blah. And I'll do the show, and I'll totally blank out the last 20 minutes because I'm like, oh, I figured this out. But he's looking at me, and he's like, what are we talking about?
Mike,
yeah, over here.
Pay attention.
But again, I think that if I could encourage anybody to listen to your words, it would be hit those things head on and be as honest as you can.
Oh yeah, transparency is perfect.
And you've never really lost anybody because you've been too honest, right?
No.
You lost it over price, or you've lost it over it just isn't going to work out. But you never lost business because you told them the truth.
That's correct.
Yeah.
You could learn something from that.
I just taking notes.
Gail.
Gail.
We're going to go to break, but we're going to come back with more about DeMary Truck.
All right, Calamity.
Okay, well we got the new Fuso gas truck coming. The Green Craft stuff. That manufacturer, he is not being honest. So we'll just leave it at that.
And we want to hit service too.
Yeah, service and the new gasoline Mitsubishi. Because it's coming out, I'll have it soon, and it's the thing I want to push.
So were they those trucks when you went over to Hong Kong electric? Were they like fully electric?
They're full electric.
Wow.
They have them.
Do
They have them over there, right?
Are they using them over there?
They are, but they're still prototype.
Okay.
Okay, they're big. I mean, these are big trucks that can get like 500 kilo range. They're heavy. They call them it's funny how they name stuff like the Super Great, which is silly, but that's the name.
That's awesome.
Super great.
But they have them, but they are a prototype. It all hinges, and it's all even autos, is the battery technology. When they can, because it's all made of rare earth elements.
Gotcha.
When they can, and they told me something about it's the way they make them. Once they can make them so that it's not a liquid, it's a solid, boom, the paradigm will happen. And obviously they really are going to throw a ton of money at R&D on making this stuff lighter and more range for batteries.
Sure.
That's going to
Because I
propel
was going
all
to
of
say
us
the
into
battery portion of it, especially for a bigger truck, I feel like that would be.
It's for everything. It's the key to the cars. It's certainly the key to the trucks, because the lighter, the more range, the more payload.
Right.
Because right now, you can't put it into a business situation and only have it be able to go 100 miles.
Right. Yeah.
It does not work.
Yeah.
Maybe for a small percentage.
Right. But not for. Yeah.
But not effectively. But they anticipate that that's what they're going to do, and that's worldwide. And
It's
because
crazy.
the diesels are just,
That'd be really cool to see.
it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's going to take time, and it's going to be they're going to throw a lot of money at that battery research.
Was that when you went over there? Was that for Mitsubishi, or who was that from?
Mitsubishi, they wanted to show me there was a Tokyo Motor Show, and they released it. They released theirs like at the same time. Elon Musk kind of promoted his tractor, but they actually have them out. They can.
But Elon Musk, his is still just a prototype where he's just.
They shelved it.
See, I think
Because it's all about money.
Oh, I agree, but I think Tesla is so close to going under. But I think that SpaceX, I don't know what he's doing with his money, but I think he's taking SpaceX money and kind of keeping Tesla going.
That's bad. That's a bad business scheme.
I understand. Well, that's how he did. What did he do? PayPal to Tesla?
He sold PayPal and then dumped all the money into Tesla.
Right.
I mean, he sold PayPal became a billionaire and was still sleeping in a friend's place.
Yeah.
Didn't even. I mean, he
Yeah, he
lives
put
on
every
nothing.
dime.
He lives
puts
a meager
every
existence.
dime
Well, he
into.
sleeps at the Tesla place to the point where they're told, like, people know he's there all the time. So, and I don't think you're allowed to do that in a work. You couldn't sleep in your office 24 hours a day.
He's a
It's
mad scientist.
Well, Mag, they live above it. The owner.
Mag?
Yeah.
Do they?
If you look up,
I
top,
get
it's
that.
A full,
I'm talking
Wow.
about, I think it's an HR issue
Oh,
if
for
you're
sure.
in your work environment,
Right.
because who knows what's going on after hours or whatever. And then, not so much him, but it's like
just in general, yeah.
somebody drinking and staying in there all day long.
To be able to have SpaceX, you already did PayPal, Tesla, getting into semis, the digging that he's doing. Like, you have to sleep at your
Who's
office.
paying him for the tunnel?
I'm sure it's got to be some.
Municipalities.
Yeah.
I know that, but I'm just saying, where was the bid for that?
Oh, well, of course.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. I don't think it
I've
could
got a
ever go
digging
public.
company.
Yeah.
That's my point.
I
So,
know.
so if I went to somebody and go, I got this great idea, just pay me $500 million. Cool.
Show up with 2 shovels, be like, let's do
There
this.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what was crazy was to say that Tony Stark thing about like Iron Man. When those kids were trapped in the cave, somebody on Twitter reached out to Elon and goes, "You're the expert in digging. Can you go and dig them out?" And because of that tweet, is why he sent people over there. They started bantering back with some random person. Huh?
When he said he had a machine, I'm like, yeah, you got a machine. Well, he did have a machine.
Oh, he does have more.
I know, but I wasn't thinking of the tunneling thing. I'm like,
they were in production to build a little tiny submarine to go get the boys and bring them out. Like they stopped everything they were doing at SpaceX and started building this before they got them out. I think that's just
that is cool.
Awesome.
It's great PR for him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That probably sold a ton of Teslas until you got to
you just can't get
like,
it till,
that's $80,000.
You just can't get it till 2024.
yeah. And maybe
but
that,
I'm gonna have a slightly used submarine.
just keep running your car.
Yeah.
Make sure you got a plan B.
I'm gonna write your name down right here on the back of this business card. All right, Jim, are you ready?
Awesome.
You good?
No, you okay?
Yeah, we're
Oh,
good.
okay.
All right, so I'm gonna come back into Mitsubishi, and then I want you to talk
The new product.
Yeah. All right. I'm ready, Jimmy. Welcome back to the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace. Still here with Madison Gillespie after all these years.
They haven't kicked me out yet.
And Pat DeMary from DeMary Truck. If you're just tuning in, you missed a lot. But this is the exciting part. This is the part where we get to learn from Pat today. Pat, I know that one of the things we talked about was when you went over and saw these electric vehicles from Mitsubishi, but you have some Mitsubishi product out now that people can get to, right?
Yeah, they're releasing the new gasoline Fuso. They call it the Eagle Project. Kind of off to the side, you're not going to see any ads on that. But it's it's our small truck, up to almost 18,000 GVW with a gasoline engine and an Allison transmission. People in the business realize the value of the 6.0 GM gasoline engine. It's virtually bulletproof. The Allison transmission is as well, and it offers PTO capabilities, which means you can put these power takeoffs on the side, and you can power dump trucks, and you can put it to work. They're good work trucks. And you have no diesel complexities that you have, that you've had with the emissions. These things will run strong. They'll get good fuel economy for a gasoline truck. And you won't have any of the issues that you had with the diesel emissions that we've had in the last couple of years.
Who are the prime candidates that look at these trucks? I mean, who's the best customer out there for it?
Oh, gosh.
I mean, I know it applies universally to a lot of different workplaces.
It does. I would say anybody that goes, and you got to know your mileage. How many miles a year do you travel on this work box truck? If you go 22,000 miles a year or less, that's your truck. Construction companies, they can travel 6,000 miles a year, but they keep the truck forever.
Right.
They don't need to be in diesel. They don't need to pay the premium, and it gives them lots of power. That's what they need. So I'd say initially, right off the bat, construction companies, anybody with low miles, anybody that idles quite a bit, these are perfect for them.
We barely do any construction in Columbus unless you look at all the roadways.
It's funny. They're saying that Oasis that they're building out in Sunbury. Have you heard about Oasis?
Oh, yeah.
They're saying it's going to be
band.
done by 2020. I go, it took you 4 years to do 23's intersection, but you're going to build a $2 billion.
Yes.
Wait, you're
very
talking-
ambitious.
you're
I heard that the other day. I'm like, yeah, okay.
The thing
Right.
we looked on Business Insider, that big park area.
You know it's bigger than Disney? Like
Yeah.
square footage, it's going to be.
What all's going in? I just read about all the development.
What
I
isn't
didn't know.
going in
Yeah.
is the question.
They're putting in a 40-acre or 20-acre saltwater, like basically pool beach.
What?
Skydiving.
Yeah.
They're gonna have. I mean, it's. They don't want it to be a theme park. There's not gonna be.
No, it
roller
doesn't
coasters.
sound like
It's
there's
just
any
all
theme park to
entertainment.
it.
Right.
Yeah,
There's
it's
no
just an
elements of
entertainment
theme park.
facility
Yeah.
with some merchandise.
It's a giant movie theater. No, anyway, not to get off topic, but
No, but that's a good point. Is all the construction that's going on? That's a perfect
People are
segue
freaking
for the
about
truck.
construction.
yeah.
Yeah. It's,
Well, and Amazon's still up for a bid in Columbus. I mean, we're narrowed down to the 12 cities across the United States, and Columbus is one that could get Amazon potentially. Think about that construction. And
That's all in New Albany, right? Because isn't Facebook also in New Albany now?
really,
the big G's there, too.
Oh, maybe that's something. I thought
I
Facebook
didn't
was
know
putting
that.
a data mining join in there. But if you go to New Albany right now, there is nothing but construction going on up there.
Yep.
There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on in Albany.
Do you get calls from, like, I don't know who does that work. I would think it's local contractors are doing that.
I don't know the answer to that, but I would say yes, it has to happen that way.
Because I would think that those people would be like, hey, we need more power. We need more trucks. Where do we go? So,
For sure.
Well, who's the competition in for you with Mitsubishi in town? I mean, don't name them specifically.
Yeah, I really don't do.
Yeah, don't plug them. But I'm saying, 50 years of being around, I'm sure that people know that you've got what they need.
Oh, sure, and there's
But you still have to remind them.
yeah. There's competition.
I'll tell you this: I couldn't name another big trucking company. Like DeMary Truck is top. I mean, I couldn't even name one.
When I started doing started my company, that was the first phone call I made. I just wanted to know who they were because I passed it. You know, that used to be what they call it, Radio Row.
Mm-hmm.
Every radio station was on that same street, and I would pass it over and
All
over.
the time.
And I was like, I'm getting in there somehow. And I called, and CW talked to me for 20 minutes. What about? I have no idea. And he said, I don't need you, boy. That's what he said. But call me next year. And I'm like, I will call you. And I wrote it down, and I waited for a year. And he goes, you can come in here. And I came in and talked to him, got nowhere. And then I actually had a friend that knew Pat, and we sat down at lunch, and I did everything on a pizza box. And I just explained it that way. And that's literally our contract and everything else.
Cool.
That's how it works.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I was not going to
That's a
let it
fact.
go because it was not about money or anything. I was so intrigued that this company in the middle of what we call Radio Row, if you go up and down Dublin Road, you can't miss it. But I thought, how has that been there my entire life, and I don't know anything about it? I just want to know about it.
Wow, so many people pass by that area, and it's been that way forever because we moved there in '80. So I remember talking to people in early '90s, and they're like, "I've passed by this a million times." Like, yeah,
Yep.
we're a commercial truck dealer. Really? And then you have to tell them what a commercial truck dealer is,
Even
and
is.
what you do, but it makes sense. I mean, it's not something.
That's good though. I mean, location.
It is.
It is a
That's
prime location. It's just, to me, it's so close to the freeway. I was thinking all these construction people are box truck people that need
It's just
that.
their parking.
Well, I just thought that's just where you go.
Right.
You know, that's like
Right.
home base. You start there and then you go do your jobs.
Oh,
from
that's your
there.
staging
Yeah.
ground.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that you've got the bays and everything
Sure.
else in there.
And
I
that's
just-
what people. You're right. That's what people thought. They thought, well, that's just where people stage a bunch of trucks.
Yeah.
No, that's.
So that's why I couldn't
These are for sale. These are
Working on.
customers' trucks we're working on.
And we got one that has Dr. Buzz on it.
Yeah,
It
we
just stays there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Really?
So I had this idea with Pat a long time ago that I wanted to, you know, when you would see, Reichert's a good example. They have those trucks that drive around town.
Yeah,
And
with
they're-
like their.
the sandwich billboard. I forget what they're called.
Oh yeah.
You're too young for this, but Pat might remember this. There was a time when in San Francisco you can't have billboards, but you can have these trucks that drive around. It's illegal because you're looking up and the streets are winding,
Distracting.
and you know. So it's not distracted driving if this thing is just driving around town.
Just like any other truck would be doing, right?
So a couple other companies started up at the same time, and I forget what you call that has the advertising on the truck. Anyway, they had, you know, like Pop Mobile or something like that.
They call it Do It Outdoors is what it's called. That's
Yeah.
the name of
Is
it.
that what it's called now?
Yeah.
So what I thought it was, the trucks that are not in service right now, or even if they are, let's brand one of these trucks. And we put it in
Nice.
Grove
That's awesome.
City in Dr. Buzz's parking lot. And everybody saw it, including the city of Grove City, who told me to move it. So,
Yeah, they did.
so I did move
The
it.
zoning group.
Yeah. So we were probably, 12,000 people were probably seeing it every day. So we just put it in another spot where 40 to 50,000 people. Thank you, City of Grove City. You're welcome.
Keep making them have you move it. I mean, just keep.
Well, that
bouncing
was my
around,
thought.
right?
Is
Like,
once they said that the Geek Squad was the only one to have one of those vehicles that was allowed, I thought, fine, I'll just park it there.
nope.
No, but it's not broken down. We have it there on purpose.
Right,
But
We do.
that was just another thing that we added to Pat's arsenal, where it was just a
Cool.
cool thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a Mitsubishi truck, I believe, isn't it?
No, it's one of my rental trucks.
Oh, okay.
It's a bigger truck.
Yeah, I mean it's huge.
That's
Like when
awesome.
you see
It's a 24 foot.
it makes Buzz look like the Hulk from the Avengers movie.
Well, he's got some guns
Yeah.
anyway. So.
Yeah, he's got the short sleeves on. He's busting out that shirt. But again, you can see that if you go by DeMary Truck. I bet people are probably curious about that truck every time they go by.
Well, I think it's good advertising.
Yeah.
For sure. It
But
gets
we
them
were
thinking.
but we were talking about the rental business. Like, who would be offended by renting a truck? Like, you're just a mobile billboard.
Yeah.
But then we were trying to think, like, could you put a lawyer on there? Probably not. You know what I mean? Like, if you're in an accident, call this. If that truck is broken down or in an accident,
Yeah.
that's not good.
No.
Yeah, it's probably not.
But back to so you were talking about the Mitsubishi line and gasoline. You see that as for the foreseeable future. That's what we're working on.
Yeah, for small trucks. When I say small, work box trucks. Okay, the big, large 24 footers and tractors, diesel's still there until new technology really evolves. Electric, compressed natural gas. It's going to be a mix of all kinds of stuff. But to get back to my product, it's gasoline, and since it's a spark engine, you can put kits on it to run on compressed natural gas or propane if you want to be really clean. Okay, so we can accomplish that. Some of the benefits to the new product is it's actually made in the United States in the Carolinas through Freightliner, because Freightliner owns Mitsubishi Fuso. So it's made in America. They come with a 1 year free telemetrics. So they're going to monitor all this. You can monitor it, how fast your guys going, the routes, and anything. It's really going to come down to they're going to be able to tell you, hey, you better go to the dealer because we're monitoring certain levels. This certain part's going to fail. You need to get in there. That's what's going to happen. And that's going to happen real soon.
But you think that's also the future of your business too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That you're going to know when something needs service.
Cars and trucks, they already do it now.
But I'm just saying that's an amazing
It
thing
is.
if you
It
can
is.
contact a client and say, hey, by the way, this is the readout I'm getting. Why don't you bring it in for service?
That's what's happening.
But that's like, remember what you would hear a BBR have a valid business reason to talk to somebody.
Right.
Nothing's better than if you don't get that truck over here, it's not going to run.
It's true.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's going to cost you money.
It is the best VBI.
Yeah.
You could be stranded.
Yeah. Do you like making money? Well, you're not gonna. 'Cause that thing ain't gonna.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you like to lose lots of money?
Because you're about to.
You got
Unless
a
you
head
come
rock
see me.
coming.
Do you want to pay a large tow bill?
Large, yes.
You can also tow those, can't you? If they're broken down, can you tow them?
Oh, yeah.
There you go. See, he's got it all wrapped up
Yeah,
in one
you
thing.
One-stop shop.
Yeah. So I don't want to get into service just yet because I know that's like your bread and butter.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into that after the break. But as far as there anything else that in your line, Fuso, anything else that is going on right now that's hot?
Well, that's the gas truck is
Oh,
our
okay.
new release. It's we're gonna have plenty of them in the next couple months to supply our customers that are. We've got a lot of interest in it. We just do, and that's gonna be our
good
thing.
right?
Yeah, it is.
It's awesome.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Oh, you know one thing we should let them do? If somebody does want to contact you about these trucks, how can they do that?
You can call us at 614-486-9603 or look us up on the web at www.DeMaryTruck.com.
Would you give it to me real quick? Would you give me the address?
1055 Dublin
Yes.
Road,
I love it.
Columbus, Ohio, 43215.
The first time that he did that was a mistake, and I could not. I thought it was so great, and I was like, "Will you just do that again?" And he was like, "Oh, come on!" But I was like, 1055 Dublin Road. I just thought it sounded cool,
It does.
and now it's like, "Yep, it's part of it." So we've got CW always goes, "Hey, boy." That, and then we got 1055. And we got a jingle, so we're
I
like,
do love his voice, CW, on the radio. Like it's awesome.
That's the thing. He was in an Ohio State basketball game, and he was ordering a drink up in the club level, and and somebody goes, "You're the dude on the radio." My dad calls me up and he tells me about that, and that was kind of the first sign that really works.
They could hear his voice. So,
Yes.
Yeah, that's so.
Because he
so
ordered a
distinctive.
drink.
That's
Hey,
hilarious.
boy,
It is.
give me a beer.
Yes.
That kind of stuff, and somebody pegged him right off the bat.
That's awesome.
That's the whole.
That's
I'm
the
telling you,
point,
it works, but it's the juice of when you hear him come in and do that. He lays a "Hey boy," and it's a highlight actually.
It is.
I can see it.
We gotta head to break, but when we come back, I do want to talk about service with you.
Okay.
Because again, that is customer service, but also what you guys do.
Sure.
You're listening to 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace.
My-
Go ahead, one more.
Yeah, my first job when I was in
1055 Dublin Road.
Service department for like a Toyota dealership.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I was wash cars.
Service writer or
Service writer.
Okay.
Yep.
You did that?
I did that through college.
That's a
why-
hard job.
It is.
You catch all the shit.
When he wasn't a DJ.
Yeah, when I wasn't DJ. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first.
He
time
was a
in while we had
DJ,
stuck
a
in that you were a
nurse, I think.
Sold television for
Yeah,
Yeah,
years.
for
sold
4.5
sold
years.
encyclopedias door to door. He
Yeah,
did it all. He did
Me
it
and
all.
Alexander.
He was
Graham
on the
Bell.
hustle.
That's
forget.
right.
Oh,
That's
That's
right. And he
right.
taught disco dance lessons. He taught the hustle too.
Yeah. No, that was honestly that was the best job that I ever had from like to give me experience to do what I'm like getting into because like you said, you have to take it all.
You
Like,
do.
And it's not easy. And I was washing
About
cars
14
and
more
Bob
minutes.
LaRich, the owner, asked me to move up
Should
as
be
an
simple.
ASM. I go, no, I'm good. I don't want to get I'm in college. It's too much stress. And finally I did it. And I was good at it, but
It teaches you to listen.
yes.
It teaches you good business sense. You know, and for us, it's complaint, cause, correction.
Yep.
What is the complaint? I don't want your diagnosis,
Yes.
sir. Sorry, I need your complaint.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God.
And
it's
they'll
bringing
give you
all
a
this
complaint.
back.
Yeah, they'll give you lots
They'll
of
give you
complaints.
tons of- well, one time I was joking with this lady and I was just being funny and she was telling me about this noise in her car. I go, well, when you turn the radio up to like level 12, is it gone? She's like, yeah. I'm like, you're good. She's like, come on. But
That's the solution.
She was so mad I had to like awkwardly break the ice because she was like, that's what I said to her. And
Yeah,
she started laughing and she's like,
They're freaked out
they
at
are.
that point.
They are. 'Cause-
Especially females when they're dealing with automotive.
For
things.
sure.
And that's better,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
Still.
it's really sticky.
Yeah, well, then you got to go back to the tech, and you have to learn everything that he's telling you that's wrong. Then you got to go to them, and then sometimes you're selling $2,500 transmission or whatever, and it's
Yeah, you can't stutter, and you gotta
you got to know your stuff.
You do, and you don't want to crook anybody,
Mm-mm.
but there's a lot of those out there.
And you get all that. Well, I went to this other guy. I'm like, well, I'm sorry that happened to you, but that's not how we do it. I mean, they taught me the best customer service
Yes,
ever.
and it's hard knocks. It's not easy.
No.
And some days you're like Mondays, you're just like
Mondays were the long days. We
Who'd you do that for?
LaRich Toyota
Okay.
in Finley.
I worked at Tansky when I was my senior year in college, like as a summer job. And,
Like washing cars and stuff, or
well, it was kind of like a catch-all type thing. But there was a guy named John Ambrosia. Do you remember Ambrosia Motors?
yeah.
So this old boy would wear like overalls and maybe a T-shirt underneath it to intimidate you, and he wouldn't talk like I was just the tech guy. So
Yeah.
I'm bringing the cars down, all that, and he wouldn't talk directly to me. Kind of like talk to me, and like he'd turn his head, and I could never hear. He was just trying to see if I was paying attention, so I'd have to pay attention to everything he said and go down and tell the old man at Tansky, who wouldn't say like boo to me. It would be report back
That
what you
is
heard
so
and then
awkward.
leave once he like gets it. But then he would keep sending me down because I was like, and I don't know anything about
yeah, you're
cars.
so young too.
I'm
you're
like, oh yeah, so I'm just down there and I'm like, I'm just a communications major and I can't talk to you guys. So finally, the old man invites me in this little shed thing, or what? Remember his office was like a trailer type thing. So I get in there and he's like, so how do you like that job down there? I'm like, are you shooting me? For weeks you've been acting like you can't speak English to me, and all of a sudden we're talking. He's like, how about you take a job down here? I'm like, no, I can't take it.
He's poaching you.
Yeah, but I mean, he was cool after that. But I was like, he literally acted like he didn't have it together. And then finally, it's like,
I didn't
okay,
know.
I like what you're doing down there. I'm like, oh, thanks, poetry
Cool.
professor.
2 weeks later. Yeah.
Wow.
All right,
That's
let's
hilarious.
wrap it up. So we're gonna go into service.
All right.
I want you to kind of take the lead and go where you want to go, and we'll just keep prodding you to go
All
that
right.
way. But I really want to push service, and then if you want to push a little bit of sales too.
Oh, so we've done enough of that. I won't
Okay.
do service because that's
But let's talk about what you can service.
okay.
You know, because I don't want someone bringing down. Look, my F-150's got a nail in the tire.
My Prius, the seat
Yeah.
cushion
Yeah,
is
exactly.
You said electric? So.
Yeah.
My electric car isn't working right. Can I take it to you?
right.
All right, let's
Okay,
take
we
this
ready to
thing.
roll?
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
Welcome back to the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace. Michael Morris still here. Madison Gillespie, unfortunately, is still here. And Pat DeMary, my good friend, still here. Pat, we talked about the trucks that you have, that you're going to have, that you have to sell, but we have not talked about service. And I know service is where you hang your hat, not just how you take care of people, but how you get them back on the road safely.
Yeah, it's everything to us, and it's our reputation, and it's how we make our money, and it comes from my dad. That's what he's always been, a mechanic, and is about service, about being a people person, and taking care of the customer is number one. And sometimes we don't do it perfectly, but if we don't, we certainly make it right.
How many times do you think that can you tell when you're getting something in from a phone call? You know, a lot of people describe, here's what I'm having, because you know the 10,000 hour principle. Have you ever heard that?
I don't know that I have.
To be an expert in anything, they say you have to have 10,000 hours. It's a book. I knew I was going to blank on it. Malcolm Gladwell. Let's pretend I know the name of the book. What is it? I'm trying to think. Anyway, he went back and did research on like the Beatles. So when the Beatles first got here, everybody thought, oh, they're perfect. Technically, they know how to do all this. They spent time in all these dive bars learning to play every song because they didn't have enough of their own songs. So they were hired to play in this club, and they had to play for 8 hours at a time. And they did it for 2 years, 8 hours at a time, 7 days a week. So when you add it up, that's why they were so technically proficient. The same is with... who's the big composer? You would know, Gail. Who's the big Mozart? There you go. When they say he composed his first symphony at 6, that's true, but his first hit is at 18 years old, which is 12 years, but that's all he did.
Yep.
So when you think about somebody that's an expert, you've got 30 years in the business.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of 7-day weeks, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
But let's just say 5 days a week. How many hours have you spent doing what you're doing? Like, you are an expert at this.
Over 10,000.
Right.
You're like,
Sure.
But you should figure it out, because I did this one time when I went on a job interview, and I read the book, and then I figured out I've done what I'm doing over 44,000 hours. And that was 8 years ago. So who knows how many hours I put in now?
Yeah.
But my question to you is, you know this stuff like the back of your hand for the most part.
Yeah.
And someone's telling you something over the phone, are you able to go, I'm going to have to look at it, but I can diagnose that?
Yeah, it's pretty, it is interesting when that switch flips and you go, wow, how's it that I know that? Well, it's because of experience.
Yeah, unconsciously.
Just experience, repetition over and over again. And you got to ask the right questions. And again, it's complaint, cause, correction.
Well, you said that during the break. Explain that, because I think that's very key for people to hear.
In our industry, whether it be auto, truck, or any kind of repair, you've got to get to the 3 C's of repairing a car or truck. What's the complaint? The mechanic or the troubleshooter finds out the cause, and then you've got to explain the correction so that you can bill it out and be done with it. So it's the 3 C's. But the complaint, you got to listen to the customers and you got to let them talk. A lot of times they want to self-diagnose, and that's fine, and tell you the whole story. And to be polite, listen to them. Don't talk. Let them say what they want to say. But when you finally get there, most of them will get to it. Some of them will never get to the complaint until you go, okay, I understand all that. What's the complaint? And boom, that's it. That's what you got to get from them.
Right.
And there's no deviating from that formula. And that's what you do. And then there's certain questions, troubleshooting, like my truck won't run. Oh, okay, it won't run. Well, is it a crank no start? Is it a no crank no start? These are simple things that determine whether you're going to send a $500 wrecker after him, or if you can just send a guy after him and jumpstart him.
Right.
Which is a lot of money difference there, but you got to know when to ask those questions.
You kind of look at it. My first boss told me, because I asked him, I didn't know how to do my job. I was like, I don't know what you hired me for, and he said, "You're like a detective. Your job is to ask enough questions that they tell you how to fill in all the blanks. And I thought, I don't understand what that means. Like, what questions? But like you just said, is it a crank no start? Is it a no crank no start? Do you kind of look at that as it's not just on a piece of paper? Like, you're asking questions so you can figure it out.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of like you're trying to create a baseline.
I'm sure somebody has a flow chart that has that have gone to the trouble to write it down.
For
Now-
sure there is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But for us, it's just trying to figure out, do we need to come get it? Can you get it here? You know, what's the deal? Is it something that we really are we qualified to work on? You know,
Well, that's probably key, right?
yeah, it is absolutely.
you have
I
to
don't
know
want
your
to
wheelhouse.
bring them all the way in and go, oh, we don't work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna really upset that person.
Yes.
And he's gonna
drove here
smack
40
talk you
minutes for this truck
for
bed
the
to be
rest
put
of
in.
your life.
Yes.
So it's just better to just go, you know, let me give you a phone number for somebody. It works much better for everybody.
Mhm.
That to you know, to sort them out in to their best interest.
What do you service the most, do you think?
It's medium heavy duty work box trucks. That's probably the best description that we've ever come up with since I've been advertising with you. It's a work box truck. So if it's got a box on it, or it's a commercial style vehicle, and I'll get technical, most people don't understand it. Anything over 10,000 pounds gross vehicle weight, up to 26,000 pounds gross vehicle weight. So a box truck. We can work on tractor trailers, big semis, but it's really not our wheelhouse. Okay, we can do it, but our expertise is work box trucks. And that's gas and diesel, soon to be electric, and all kinds of other alternative fuels, but mostly gas and diesel. And it's, you know, brakes, runnability. I spend thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars a year in scanning software because
Well,
you can never
training
just
too,
get
right? 'Cause
Oh,
there's new
absolutely.
Technology, with
Yeah.
the techs.
Yeah.
Yep.
The scanning tools is crazy. There can't just be one scanning tool for everything.
No.
There's 5 or 6,
Yeah.
and then they expire. But it's all part of the technology, how it evolves.
Mhm.
But if that answers your question,
It does.
the work box truck, anything that you're gonna kind of make a living with, other than a tractor trailer, you know, we can align some of that. But that's our thing. Work box trucks.
Madison, I was thinking during the break, people, they might have got to see it on Facebook, but that you two understood the 3 C's, but I don't know that
Yeah.
you call it the same thing, but it's like you guys hit a note together.
Oh, absolutely. Because when you've been in that, like, so I used to be a service man, or ASM is what we called it, and I was the customer service and part of the service side of the business. And unless you're in it, like, it's so funny. When I was at NBC, I would walk into like car dealerships that were clients of mine, and I could relate instantly with them because I had been in that environment.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a different, and you walk in the service department, and even when I take my car to a service department, I know what they've been through, I know what that's like. And
You're a little more compassionate,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Because you get some
a
nightmares.
little more patient.
A little more patient.
Yeah.
But you're spot on. I would get phone calls all the time where somebody was calling about their issue, and if you can't, most of the time you can figure out their issue by asking the right questions on the phone.
Correct.
Sometimes you can't, but asking those right questions. And when I would close out an invoice, I would do what's the issue? Like I would write the 3 C's out every single invoice that you're talking about.
Here's what I tell my mechanics. You got to write down what you did.
Absolutely.
If you get a furnace repair guy comes into your apartment or your house, and he fixes your AC or your furnace, and all he does is give you a $1,500 bill, and it says fixed, are you going to accept
Right.
that? The answer is hell no. You're not going
drew
to
a
accept
thumbs
that.
up.
With a smiley face.
You've got to explain. You know,
Yes.
obviously, here's a complaint: how you drew that conclusion and what you did, or what you're going to do for the estimate.
Yep.
And then what you did. People have to.
They have
The
to.
bigger the amount, the larger the description for the most part.
Mm-hmm. And I would write verbatim what they were telling me the cause was in the first part of it.
If you can.
If you can, like
Yeah.
using their words, this is exactly what's going on. And yeah, it's very interesting. I did it for 4 years, all through college.
It's a hard job. I call it the hot seat. because you get. I'd equate it to being in the medical profession, and the people that you go see. People are going there. They're not going. They're going there to see like their attorney. It's not their best day.
No. Yes.
So
That's
so
why
they're
like
already
the
starting off. and
yeah.
The motor's running in the red when they see
That's
it.
right.
the regular maintenance clients were the easy, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
they're just going for
We're
regular
just coming for a PM.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's PM preventive maintenance. But if something's wrong,
Yeah.
there's stress. There's drama.
So
Yes.
technically, what we're saying here, boys, is like your math teacher said: show all your work, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a great analogy.
How did you get
What?
to this?
No, that really
Well,
was.
you know why?
Because I got in trouble for not
Be-
showing.
Well,
mine.
my 11-year-old, she was showing me new math, and I thought I can just get to the answer, and she said, "No, you have to show all these steps." I'm like, "Yeah, but we can just
No,
get
you
to the
can't.
answer."
Yeah.
but if that's that is true. But if that is the case, if you show all your work, you can retrace your steps,
True.
right? So I can provide better customer service if I have notes. Actually, funny story is that I was on the phone with Sprint because I was getting ripped off for the past like 34 months. Sprint, it's okay. Don't feel bad. As I'm having this phone call, I'm making notes about it, and I'm not paying attention. And Mia is making her own notes about it. You know where she got that? Because her teacher told her to show all the work. So if we needed to go back, we both had notes to compare, and I'm like, this
That
is
is
a simple
so
cell phone
awesome.
transaction,
Yeah.
and Sprint still got my money. So it still worked. out.
They can talk to your daughter next.
Yeah.
She knows what's going on now.
Yeah, but I mean, I just thought that was weird that
That is.
they say this new generation or the younger kids aren't paying attention. They're going to show all their work. So she could technically work for Pat.
Yes.
Heck
That's the
yeah.
conclusion.
She has no skills with trucks. She loves monster trucks, though. So if you ever want to work on those, she can help you out.
But the important thing is that the customer understands. Maybe they don't like that they have to pay for it, but if they can understand why it costs so bloody much to fix this,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
then they're either obliged to say okay to the estimate or not hate you with all their being that they have to pay for it.
What's no longer a sale? It's a transaction that you're working on together.
Correct.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
If you make somebody feel like you're selling them, and I'm sure
Yeah,
you
they
get
don't
that a
like
lot.
that at all.
You get that a lot.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the guy who has all the watches in the jacket. Like, if I'm not in the mood for this, did I need to see all these watches?
Mm-hmm.
Just, are you providing me a service or not? And that's what you build the bones of your business on.
And it's building trust too.
Yes.
You got to do it.
Pat, we are out of time for this week, but again, tell people how they can get into contact with you if they like this show and they want to get a fleet of box trucks. You're the guy.
Please call us at 614-486-9603 or go on the web at DeMaryTruck.com. We are located at 1055 Dublin Road, Columbus, Ohio, at the corner of Grandview Avenue and Route 33.
Yeah, and if you want a good chat, I'm sure CW will be there before he flies to Florida again. Just look for a guy in the little Elmer Fudd hat. It's always a good time.
That's awesome.
He's pretty much always there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Madison, I'm going to see you next week, but you want to say goodbye to Pat?
Yeah, it was great meeting you. And
Great to meet
Great
you.
to learn about your business. This is why we started the show, to learn about successful business owners and where they came from, and just your outlook on it and your customer
Yeah,
service.
and then
You can
just
tell why
talk
you're
trash
successful.
about each other, too.
Well, thank you
I mean,
very much.
You're welcome.
All right, that's
Great
going
to
to do
meet
it for the 101 this week.
Thought you were going to say thank you for listening.
I'm not thinking.